In this video, I'm going to continue with the Pokemon Scale World, which I said I wasn't going to continue because I wasn't a huge fan of them. But this one is going to be of Green, also known as Blue to us in the Western world, and his Arcanine. So this is the Japanese product. It hasn't come out in the West yet. If you haven't seen the first video, which I cover of Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, check that out. So this is a limited edition web exclusive product, again, hence the brown shipper box, very plain for what it is. So I'm going to show you the actual inner packaging as well. So let's just cut this thing open and show you that before we get into the figure itself in just a moment. Okay, so here is the box out of the brown shipper box. So this is very similar to the limited edition Kanto starters one. So this one is of course with Arcanine and Blue, or Windie and Green for the Japanese market. Remember, this is a Japanese product, hence all the Japanese writing, so Pokemon logo and stuff on there. So this is part of the Scale World lineup, which has numerous figures at this point. So this is a bit old actually. Of all the Pokemon figures, or not all of them, but like a whole bunch of Pokemon figures right now in a particular uniform scale. And I covered them before, so I was not going to get this originally, but because it's Blue and I kind of like him, I thought why not? And Arcanine looked really good on this as well. So here is the packaging. It's very plain for the most part. Here's some of the other figures that came out in Wave 1. I don't have Lapras. I did try to get Lapras, but it's very rare now and it just costs too much money to get. I'll try and get it maybe if I have some spare cash lying around, but otherwise that one's a pretty rare one to get now. And these were what I covered earlier on, so these three guys here with Professor Oak. So yeah, this is this is what it is, and this is just the Japanese text on the back. So yeah, it's a scale figurine set. So let's get this thing open, and then I'll do a comparison quickly with the three Kanto starters as well. Okay, so here is Green and Windie, or Blue and Arcanine out of the box. Before I quickly show you the figures, just like the other ones, they come in a bubble wrap packaging with a clear plastic wrap inside that as well, just to kind of protect them in the box itself. It's nothing special, but just wanted to point that out as well. And they also come with a candy, so it's just one piece of candy for this one, which I'm not going to eat. So this is Blue here, and then Arcanine, as I said. It's pretty basic figures. They don't articulate or anything, though his head does wobble a little bit or move a little bit. And it's pretty much what you saw on the packaging. So a little cocky Blue hair with his Arcanine, and it's supposed to be in scale. So Arcanine is a pretty big Pokemon from what we've seen in the games, and of course the animation as well. So it looks like it pretty much sizes up quite well. Sadly, I don't have Professor Oak outside actually, but I recall he's a bit taller anyway. But yeah, like just on first inspection from like afar, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but I've looked at it a bit closer, and there are some issues that I had with the previous ones that kind of are the same here as well. So let's give you a closer look first then at Blue. So as you can see, his hair is sculpted like it should be with his trademark hairstyle. I do think it could be a little bit cleaner looking. I'm not going to even give the excuse of the size of it being quite small, because you know we've seen small figures and they've been done really meticulously as well. You can see the pouch then on his waist with the band going around. The black colors of it does tend to merge a little bit, but in good light you can kind of see the separation between them. Then his pants as well. I just want to kind of point out, I really don't like when they put the copyright stuff sculpted into the actual figure. I'd rather it be in the base or on the foot or something. On the actual figure itself, it's kind of lame. It just kind of spoils the overall look of the figure. You got the rest of the details on his wristbands, and then his sneakers as well. So this little stand here, you don't have to put him on it. He's kind of stood for me okay without this, but just like Professor Oak, he comes with one as well. And I assume red comes with one, but I don't have red. It has a number 3 on there. I'm not sure if that means anything. Potentially it does, because he's the third character. Maybe 1 and 2 are red and Professor Oak respectively. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that one. Speaking of his head though, you can kind of tilt it down if you want. Just kind of move it around depending on the angle that you want and the kind of elevation, to kind of a little bit more of a cocky look if you like. I'm not a huge fan of his smirk. Like, the smirk look is good, but the way it's done here, it's not quite as good as it is, as the packaging leads you to believe. Basically, I feel like the packaging, even though it's not actually like this on the packaging, I feel like the packaging kind of leads it that it might be like a faintly open smile, but it's not. It's a very kind of basic line that's been drawn on his face, and it's barely okay for me. So I think this could be an overall better looking figure. So a little bit disappointed with that, if I'm totally honest. Then going on to Arcanine. So I'm going to start using the English names from here on out. So here is Arcanine. Just give you a quick look at his face. You can see his teeth, his snout, his eyes. Just here on the left side here, I feel like this is more flush, this bit, rather than his left eye, but it might not be that obvious to you on video. It's a really minor niggle. That one I'm actually really nitpicking on. From like, if it's sitting on your shelf, you're not going to notice that. Got the stripes, which are all sculpted on and then painted, so all over basically. It's all sculpted. You can see the fur around his ankles as well. This is a pretty weighted figure, by the way. I should try and weigh this. It's actually just a big hunk of plastic, a bit like the Venusaur was in Wave 1. This is just a big hunk of plastic for the most part. Again, no articulation. This is just a little figure. The copyright stuff is on there. If it's like this, then I don't mind it too much because it's on the underside. You're not really going to see it. I really don't like it the way they did it for Blue and Professor Oak. The paw pads, good attention to detail. But yeah, so the kind of little quibbles I was talking about is just down to the paint really, which is similar to what happened with the Kanto starters as well. So let me just show you that. So if you look closely, you can kind of see some rough paint work happening within the black stripe area, especially on his left front paw right here. I just feel like it could be a little bit better, and I say that purely because of how much this set costs. The retail price is still pretty expensive. I actually can't remember it now. I'll put on-screen text for that because I need to double check it. But they're not that cheap for just basic figurines. They're not articulated figures. They're not like Figuarts or Figma or Mafex or anything like that. They're just basic figurines. Fair enough, it's a big weighted plastic, but I think like the overall finish should be a bit cleaner. There's a bit that I wanted to point out too. If you can see this little kind of scratch on the underside, right there on the underside of the big tail, I just think little things like that should really kind of be polished out for something like this. There's really no excuse because, again, it's just a sculpted hunk of plastic, so there's no articulation involved. But generally speaking, if I was to see this on a shelf, I'd probably be, I'd find it appealing. It would definitely catch my eye, especially once you've got them in scale with, say, the human characters as well. So that's Arcanine. Let me bring out the Kanto starter. So Blastoise here. Let's move Blue out the way. So here's Blastoise. And I'll bring out Charizard as well next. He may not fit, but we'll try and get him in. Shift them aside. But then Venusaur may not fit alongside these guys. So let's bring that in, and then I can maybe show you them split apart. So all four of them together, they're pretty uniform height in terms of consistency. They look quite good together. Of course, with Charizard, you might want to elevate him so he's floating a bit more, depending on your display setup. But the others are, they look pretty good with him. In fact, actually, Blastoise might seem a little bit tiny. From my eyes, again, from the video where the camera is pointing, it's probably not like this, but from my eyes, Blastoise looks a little bit tiny. But otherwise, I like the way they look all together. But again, there are issues when you kind of look at the paint and look quite closely at them. And some of the sculpting is a bit weak. So if you remember Venusaur, I didn't like his jaw was a separate piece entirely. Let's go back to Arcanine again, because that's something I wanted to check with Arcanine. Hopefully Blastoise doesn't fall apart. So yeah, Arcanine doesn't really have a lot of like separate like parts or anything to like the jaw or anything. It's all just one piece. So from his face, it looks pretty good. His face looks pretty good overall, and his body sculpt is pretty good as well. It's just the little paint quibbles that I want to point out. I mean, even that little separation piece there is not a big deal because it's on the underside and not going to see it. But actually, I would say Arcanine's not too bad. He's not too bad. Maybe a lack of shading, but you know what? These are all plain, so it's okay. Blastoise was probably my worst one because he had just paint issues on like his snout and then on his belly, I think it was as well. And then one of his arms. So yeah, Blastoise was probably the weakest one for me. So that's Arcanine and Blue. And then I've shown you now with the evolved forms of the 3 starters as well. This series is going on for a while, it seems. They're now onto the Johto series, and I will get some of the Johto series. I actually can't remember which ones I've got on pre-order. I think one of them has Celebi in it, so Celebi is mythical, and I thought, why not? But otherwise, I'm not going to get every single one of these, and I was not able to get the Lapras and Giovanni one because my pre-orders kept getting cancelled. I think I pre-ordered that one too late. If it's a web exclusive, a limited edition like Arcanine and Blue are, they tend to sell out after a certain point, and then they just end up increasing in price. So getting Arcanine now is probably going to be like 10,000 yen or more at least, just like Professor Oak's set was, 10,000 more or at least, probably now 20,000 yen. And then also there's green, or as in female green for us, that comes with Clefairy, I think it is, and she's quite expensive too. I may consider getting it just to kind of compare, but honestly speaking, this is not a series that I'm going to be keeping up to date with consistently. I may get it here or there just to kind of check it out, and then I'll probably end up selling the lot. So actually, to be honest, I'm probably going to sell everything that you see here at some point, just because they're not really for me. Bring on the fig arts, more of those, that's my thing. But otherwise, this thing, let's just see how it goes. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and I hope you can check out the previous video with the Blastoise, Charizard and Venusaur. Check out my channel for more videos. If you like this video, as in like it, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And yeah, check out the rest of my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.